Coded Arms and its sequel, Coded Arms Contagion, are both frequently regarded as some of the best exclusives to the original PlayStation Portable. But then the conversation goes into, well, which one is better? The original Coded Arms was a first-person shooter roguelike on the PSP, which I never thought it would say before. The sequel removed the procedurally generated maps and all the roguelike elements and turned it more into a traditional first-person shooter, but it still got favorable reviews, so today we're going to be asking, which one is better? Hey everyone, as always, Jarek here. You're an adult. Stop complaining about what other people are wearing. As an adult, I get to wear whatever I want. The hat stays. If you don't like it, too bad. Now have this ad. Today's sponsor is Opera GX. Now, they've sponsored me many times in the past, so let's talk about some of the stuff they offer that I haven't talked about. Facebook Messenger, Telegram, WhatsApp, all of that is integrated directly into the sidebar, so you can browse and talk at the same time. Opera GX already has extensive customization, but you can add your own custom animated wallpaper which runs smoothly in the background of your browser. Or what if you're worried about losing all the stuff on your previous browser? Opera GX is equipped with an import tool that allows you to quickly import all your settings from a previous browser to Opera GX, like browsing history, bookmarks, and cookies. How about those Chrome extensions? Opera does have its own add-on store, but just install the Chrome extensions add-on from that, and you can use any Chrome extension you want. Opera GX is also on your phone now. You can even connect Opera GX on your phone to Opera GX on your desktop using the Flow feature, so you can send files, videos, and links between browsers. And of course, there's the GX Corner on mobile to give you a game release calendar, gaming news, and free mobile games. So if you want to try out Opera GX, check that link down below in the video information. And if you do install Opera GX, tell me what colors you're using. As a reminder, red and black is the optimal color scheme. And once again, a huge thanks goes to Opera GX for supporting this channel. Alright, Coded Arms Contagion. We'll start where I normally do, the graphics. And this is where I was really impressed. This might be the best looking PSP game I've ever played. Now, the original Coded Arms didn't look bad either, however, due to the roguelike elements, every single map just kind of seemed like copy-pasted cube rooms with not much variety. Coded Arms Contagion doesn't have this flaw, but it also threw the roguelike elements completely out the window. This is a linear, straightforward first-person shooter. But as far as graphics though, that's kind of a good thing, because these environments look a lot more believable than just cubes. And even without the comparison to Coded Arms 1, this game does look really good for a PSP. The textures are remarkably high quality. I mean, I can actually see what these things are on the wall, which is not normally something you can do with a PSP. The sound effects are high quality, the reloading animations are nice and smooth. In every single way when it comes to the presentation and graphics, this is an improvement over the first game. Except for one problem. The music is really messed up. Now, don't get me wrong, the music itself is really good, if you could hear it. The music starts whenever battle happens and then abruptly stops for seemingly no reason. You can never actually hear any of this music because it never really plays. From what I understand, this is not an emulator issue, and the base game did that on the original PSP. Oh, I probably should have pointed that out. I am playing this on an emulator. I'm playing this on PPSSPP, which means I'm playing at a native resolution of around 1920 by 1080. However, even when I turn the resolution down to the native resolution of a PSP, it still looked very good. So everything I'm talking about here, I'm not saying it within the context of an emulator, I'm saying this within the context of an original PSP. Anyway, yeah, graphically, I'm very impressed. Next, we'll go to the story, and once again, it's quite a bit better than the first game. With this being a linear first-person shooter, it allows the developers to actually put cutscenes in places that would make sense and just give you a story that's easier to follow. The story in Coded Arms 1 mainly just was there for world building, it was less so there for the actual immediate story. Coded Arms Contagion is not the same thing. And right away, I was very impressed by the quality of the cutscenes. Imagine seeing this on your PSP in the mid-2000s. As a kid, my mind would have been blown. Anyway, so what is the story? Well, just like the first game, you're hooked into a virtual reality training simulation called IDA. This is a sci-fi game, so virtual reality in that game means actually hooking up your consciousness into this program, instead of just putting on a headset. Although I guess this manifests itself in-game as you turning into Xenomorph Sam Fisher. Anyway, you have a general constantly talking into your ear, and your job is to find a squad that went missing in this program. You quickly start figuring out that someone is taking over the program and unleashing viruses into it. So yeah, the hacker thing stayed from the first game, and it's a pretty decent setup for the story. I do think this game is still good enough to play nowadays and very easily accessible through emulation, so I won't tell you everything that happens in the story. I figure you can play it yourself if you really want to know. But what you do need to know is that they put a lot more effort into the story in the second game than the first game, but not in a way that interrupts the flow of the game. Basically, the presentation is better all around than the first game, just like the graphics. But none of that means anything if the gameplay isn't fun. And thankfully, it's not half bad. But this is a first-person shooter on the PSP, so before I even get that far, I have to talk about these controls. In the original Coded Arms, no matter if you were aiming with the face buttons or the analog stick, it was horrendous. It was so hard to aim at anything. It did not help that there were a bunch of small, fast enemies. It also didn't help that this game had a blue mechanic that did not fit the game it was in. If you were walking at all, you couldn't hit anything. You basically had to stand still to hit your target. In an arcade game like that, standing still was a death sentence. Needless to say, the controls were the worst part about the first game. Thankfully, that did not carry over to Coded Arms Contagion, and they learned from their mistakes. For starters, bloom is entirely gone, thank God. Secondly, the actual aim feels good. No matter if you're aiming with the face buttons or aiming with the analog stick, it feels natural. Now, there are two common control schemes when it comes to the PSP. Either you move with the left analog stick and aim with the face buttons, or you move with the face buttons and aim with the left analog stick. That second one is impossible for me. Like, I just can't get Southpaw controls to work in my brain. I just can't do it. With that said, I can take advantage of the fact that I'm using an emulator and rebind the left analog stick to my right analog stick, and then rebind the face buttons to the left analog stick to have regular first-person shooter controls. Doing this doesn't change the aim, it just moves the analog stick to the right side so that my brain doesn't get confused. Anyway, point being, the aiming feels really good, actually, for a PSP game. There was only one problem. There is a lock-on mechanic in this game, and unfortunately that doesn't work with this emulator. I don't know why, but other people have confirmed that it just doesn't function in the emulator at all. Thankfully, this didn't provide too much of a problem. Aiming felt pretty intuitive and natural, and even without any aim assist, I was able to hit my targets without much worry. So yeah, so far, this is by far the most natural feeling first-person shooter I have played on the PSP. Okay, now we can talk about the gameplay. To be honest, this gameplay doesn't really have anything that's too different or wild from other first-person shooters. It's not a roguelike like the first game. It doesn't have anything that's procedurally generated, so it doesn't really stand out as being unique in that regard. I think the most unique feature this game has is that if you press select, you'll be able to scan your surroundings. This basically just lets you see if enemies are around the corner and whatnot. And in a way, it makes aiming seem a little bit easier because there's just less visual noise. But it doesn't really change the game much, it's just a cool little feature. The rest of its charm simply goes into how many guns you get and how many different enemy types there are. Of course, you'll fight regular soldiers and turrets, like you expect that, but then you also have different bug type enemies and infected enemies. Get it? Coded Arms Contagion? You were able to pause the first game and upgrade and change your equipment whenever you wanted to. Unfortunately, in this game, this is more of a checkpoint basis. When you found these squares, then you could upgrade and change your weapons. All of this has been simplified, although I think that's for the better. The gun upgrades work more or less the same, although the upgrade points you find now are not random, they're just hidden in the environment, which is a good thing, because you can really get screwed over by RNG in the first game. So yeah, you can upgrade your guns, make them do more damage, increase the rate of fire, increase their mag size, stuff like that. You also will not find different items that you can wear. Instead, you have one piece of chest armor that you upgrade. This will give you more health, more defense, so on and so on. Like I said, this has been simplified, but I see it more as a streamlining process. This makes things easier and I don't see it as a problem. So yeah, other than that, I don't really have much to say. It pretty much plays like any linear first-person shooter would, aside from the occasional boss you come across. But again, this isn't really a bad thing. The insane amount of quality thrown into just a portable title is insane. This game is also really long for what it is. It'll take you around 8 to 10 hours to beat. Again, for a PSP title, that's crazy. But there's one thing I really want to bitch about, because my God, it's terrible. That's the hacking. Do you know what you're looking at? Probably not, but believe it or not, it's a lot more simple than it looks. You move your cursor over numbers on the right side. Basically, you just find the one number per line that matches the numbers on the left. There's no math to be done, it's literally just finding the one number that matches, that's it. You have a certain amount of time to do this, and if you don't do it in that time, enemies spawn behind you, you kill them, then you try again. Is it incredibly difficult? No. Is it confusing? No. Is it mind-numbingly boring, tedious, and annoying, and does it break the entire pacing of the game? Fucking yes. My god, you have to hack so much in this game. One of my viewers, goes by the name of Grub, decided to skim through my VODs and see how much hacking I did. Throughout 2 VODs, there was 5.8 hours of gameplay. Do you know how much of that was hacking? 58 minutes. Almost an hour of that 6-hour playtime was hacking. So in all reality, there's only 5 hours of playtime, because I refuse to call that playtime. Who in the world thought this would be fun or thought this would be a good idea? And I really do mean you have to hack everything. Doors constantly need to be hacked to be opened. These crates constantly need to be hacked for you to get special points. Panels need to be hacked to take over turrets. Like, why? Why is there so much hacking in this game? You could not have done it a worse way. As a side note, has there ever been a time where hacking was fun in a game? I can't think of a time where it's been fun. And while not related to the hacking, there's another downside to this game. And that's ammo. For the first half of the game, it's not really a problem. It seems to give you ammo plenty fine. But then the game gives you a weapon. I'm gonna call it the Data Suck. This weapon steals health from your opponent and gives it back to you when you reload. And it has infinite ammo. This is a blatantly overpowered weapon, but it's not really fun. The problem is the game knows this, so it stops giving you ammo for your other guns, or at least not much of it. The second half of the game would really be a lot more fun if they just gave you more ammo. Anyway, with that out of my system, let's actually answer the question I asked at the beginning. Is Coded Arms 1 or Coded Arms 2 better? Well, I don't think this is really something you can answer. I think this comes down to the person. Coded Arms 2 undeniably has better production value. They learned from the first game and made the second game prettier and run smoother, and the controls are just easier. But the actual gameplay between the two games is so similar yet so different at the same time. Personally, myself, despite the hacking, I had more fun with the second game, because a linear first-person shooter is more down my alley. However, I can 100% see why someone would like the first game more. If you're more into roguelikes, there's definitely more you can do with the game. You can get more out of it. You can play it for more hours. It will never be the same thing, no matter how much you play it. The second game will just have 8 hours of gameplay, and then you're basically playing the same levels over again. Again, personally, I would prefer that. I'd like a more refined, streamlined experience than a roguelike experience, but that's all down to the player. I cannot really say that one is better than the other. I can say, however, that these are both some of the best exclusives you can get on the PSP, so if you want to play them, go try them out. They are quite good. So that should be the end of the video. I want to give a big thanks to people that joined me over on Twitch. My Twitch is twitch.tv/JR4GamingDragon. If you subscribe, you get to see my videos at least a week ahead of time. Thanks also goes to my sponsor, Opera GX. Be sure to check that link down below in the video information if you want to try this out for yourself for free. And of course, I want to give a big thanks to you for watching this video.